Welcome to Week 8 training video. 2 weeks left in the regular season, several games with playoff implications. 18 plays here. We'll try to keep up about 20 minutes. As always, this is not to demean, belittle, show up, insult, any of those things to any players, coaches, officials, fans, mascots, etc. Strictly for learning purposes, all to make us better. First few plays here, we're going to start off with some horse collar examples. Play one is a horse collar on a kickoff. One of the keys here is you'll see the runner extends his arm out to stiff arm, which forces the defender to extend his arms. Usually when you see both opponents with their arms extended trying to grab each other, that's one of the elements that should catch your attention for the potential horse collar foul. And right there, of course, he does pull him down in the name of safety. How do we want this called? And we do get that. Here's another example as well. This one is not called, but is one that we would want. You see him pulling him down from behind. He is out of the tackle box, so he is protected now. In other words, he cannot be horse collar tackled like a quarterback and a running back can if they are in the tackle box. He's now out of the box, so this should be a foul. See the legs buckle, even though he doesn't immediately go down and stays up. The danger and the risk of injury is there, which is the intent of the horse collar foul. Now this next one is an example of what is actually not a horse collar. It's easy to get fooled on some of these, but first off, a quarterback or a running back in the tackle box cannot be horse collar fouled. In other words, if a defender is able to fight through guys blocking him and still pull a runner or attack the quarterback down by the horse collar, it is not a foul. It's just a good tackle. Once the quarterback gets outside that pocket, then he can be horse collar. But this one is not quick or not long enough, and he does not bring him down. It's also not a face mask. Often this looks like a face mask from far away. Quick grasp. Notice that the quarterback's head never turns. He steps up. That would not be a horse collar foul. Here's another example of what would not be a horse collar. First of all, he falls forward. So in order for it to be a horse collar, he does have to go backwards or even sideways we would take, but he pulls him down clearly from the front. Now one could argue it's hard to tell how long he has the helmet versus the jersey. When he comes up there, you see he's already got jersey right there. So it looks like he had the helmet, but not sure how long. So you could argue a possible face mask or grabbing the helmet opening, but don't trouble, make it big. It's a big boy sport. Sometimes their hands hit each other in different places, but that's not a foul there. Stay away from those. Okay, play 5. This is an example of a false start that we got to get, gentlemen and ladies. Okay, you've got guys that aren't even set. They're still moving. The ball's snapped. Now the defense sees that. Some of them may stop and give up. It looks like they're still playing, so probably okay, but the fact is we should shut that down. We all know nothing good happens when we have a play we should shut down, and we do not. And instead, of course, they end up getting about 8 yards on this play when they should have lost 5. So let's be sharp on the line of scrimmage and get those ones. This here is an example of what would not be a false start. Often you see these tackles with their back leg give a quick kick. This one's not as big. Sometimes they're very big and exaggerated, and it appears to a false start to the naked eye. But if we have to slow this down frame by frame to see if he's moved or not, and he's timed it with the snap, nobody's good enough to officiate frame by frame. So anything this close, we don't want to trouble. Certainly not a false start, and we would not want this called. Okay, here's an example of targeting. We've reviewed it the last couple videos, and I'll just a quick review again. 2 different versions of targeting. Rule 913, which is initiating contact with the crown of your helmet. Forcible contact to an opponent with the crown of your helmet. So I can hit you anywhere in the body. If it's forcible contact with the crown of my helmet, it's targeting. Rule 914 is forcible hit to the head or neck area against a defenseless opponent. Defenseless opponent can be a receiver in the act of catching a pass, a quarterback throwing a pass, a punter, a kicker, a quarterback after an interception, a running back on the ground, blindside block, and a few others. So this is an example of 914. You have a defenseless receiver. Notice one of the elements is here for the defender. He sees him, he's targeted him at this point, and he gives one of the elements, which would be a launch, an upward launch to the head and neck area. And the good news is we had 3 flags on that. 914 targeting. Okay, this is an example of what would not be 914 targeting. It is a blind side, and here is where you got to start to train yourself with the elements of targeting and how it's starting to develop through the play. You have a sweep or a punt or a kickoff. Anytime you have a run going the opposite side and defenders in chase mode, going from one side of the field to the other, that's where the potential for the blindside block is going to come in. Now that would not be targeting. A couple of pieces to that. He doesn't hit him in the head or neck area. They are upright. They're actually almost vertical when the hit occurs. Now the shoulder hits him just below the head area, and of course, due to the contact, there ends up being some contact to the head area. That is not the same as forcible contact to the head or neck area. The hit starts in the shoulder. They're both standing upright. He makes every intent to use his shoulder, and by the force of the contact, there is some helmet contact there. But that would not be targeting. Second part to this, guys, when he's on the sideline, if he steps out, anything threatened, don't put yourself in harm's way by going into the area around the coaches. This coach is actually in a perfect spot. He's outside the white. He's in his box, right where he should be. So make it easy on yourself and stay in. Don't be going around players or coaches. Good job on the reverse mechanics there too. Okay, for play 9, this is an offensive hold at the point of attack, but really we want to stay away from these. When we have a hold, we want there to be a second element or a second verb which that restricts him, takes his feet away. Grab and restrict, a hook and a turn, something along those lines. Here you'll see that they might be engaged, there might be a slight hold, but the defender is reading the play. He's actually kind of dancing with the lineman. He's shuffling sideways with him. He hasn't tried to escape where the lineman has pulled him or roped him back in, where the hold would then come. And one could argue that might be a quick tug, but again, make these really big. Better off staying away from those. But it is at the point of attack, looking right where you should be. And next one, play 10, is an example of a big-time takedown. The backside linesman and the referee both get this. This would be a classic takedown, which we want called anytime, because a foul like this, even if it's 20 yards behind the play, can cause ill will and lead to further issues. And for play 11, there's 2 pieces to this play. Unfortunately, we get the second part of it, so I'll just let it roll and see here. But okay, see number 19 for the defense is taking aim at an opponent here. He sees the lineman is turning downfield. He's kind of walking, and he knows that this guy's not paying attention, so he's got him in his eyesight. And behind the play, he goes up and hits him as the play's ending. Unfortunately, we missed that. What we do get is the quarterback here taunting. And that is taunting, gentlemen. That can lead to further issues. Even though the defender may do the right thing and walk away, this can definitely escalate to worse things, and we do want to get fouls like this. There's no place to taunt. It's one thing to celebrate when in the end zone or have made a big play. But also, gentlemen, I do want to remind you, this is a semi-pro league, and they do have different rules than NCAA. If they have 2 unsportsmanlike conducts and get ejected, they do sit the following week as well. So maybe we keep that in mind and try to work with them and try to prevent them from getting a second unsportsmanlike conduct, if at all possible. Now, sometimes you just can't help it. Some of the things they do, regardless, you can't help them out of it. But if they already know they have one, they definitely need to watch their behavior. I'm not saying let them get away with everything, but just keep that in mind is all I'm saying. Okay, for play 12, this would be, it's a great run here, and we call it back for a block in the back. And it's tough to tell by this angle, but based on how he lands on his side. He doesn't go straight down to his face. Sure looks like a side block. The fact that you can see him coming up from the side, generally a block in the back, he's going to be in the back. It's going to be at least one hand square, and he's going to propel him forward. So stay away from these, make that bigger. And for play 13, this is another big takedown. Now, this is one that we do not get. But if we can see this again, we need to call these regardless of the score because it can cause problems. But he just basically WWF pulls him down. There's no reason for that, guys. We got to get those. Okay, for play 14, as an example of what would not be intentional grounding. Okay, he's still in the pocket, but remember, he does not have to be outside the pocket if there's a receiver in the area. Outside the pocket only pertains to throwing the ball away for it getting to the line of scrimmage. If there's no one in the area. If there's someone in the area, then he can be anywhere. And so you see the ball lands about the 36, 37, somewhere around there. And we've got a receiver at the 42, 43, so about 7 yards away. If we've got a receiver within around 10 yards, we're going to make him in the area. Even though we know he didn't have a chance to catch that, the rule's the same for both teams. The intent is for the quarterback to be able to dump the ball on a busted play without getting his head taken off. So this would not be intentional grounding. Okay, for play 15, this is an example of what would not be defensive pass interference. Remember, for defensive pass interference, there must be contact. Face guarding itself is not a foul. He never sees the ball, but he doesn't have to. Now, one of the categories of defensive pass interference would be early contact by not playing the ball. So if he has contact here, not playing the ball, then we do have a foul. But right now, he's just face guarding. Good defense, 2 guys in good position, and a great no call. Correct no call. Okay, this is just a good example of ruling a pass incomplete. Ball comes out that quickly, it's incomplete. Don't make a cheap turnover. You can see where he throws the ball. It's 2 yards forward. The ball's already coming out. So again, good job by this crew to shut that down and kill it, make it incomplete. Okay, on this play, we have an inadvertent whistle. Let's do a quick discussion on inadvertent whistles here. If a team is in possession, and we have an inadvertent whistle, then they have the option of taking the play where the ball was when the whistle was blown, or the result of the play where it was when the whistle was blown, or replaying the down. If you have a loose ball, then you would replay the down. Would be the only option. If you have a change of possession, in this case, such as on this try, we're going to have a blocked extra point. The defense recovers it. We have an inadvertent whistle once they have recovered it. Well, at this point, they can take the result of the play, which would be they blocked the kick. That's it. They don't get to retry it and try to block it or try to run a play or anything like that. They would have the option of giving the offense a chance to re-kick it again. They certainly could do that, but odds are they're not going to. So in this case, the try would just be over. We would have an inadvertent whistle. The result of the play is a blocked kick. Try is no good. One thing we need to do is make sure we explain this to the coaches is what happens. But again, everybody remember, this is NCAA rules, not high school, so we do have live extra points, so we can run it back. But if we do have an inadvertent, make sure we stay on the whistle, keep blowing our whistle so that the players do stop. Okay, and then we've got a whistler right about now, and then everybody keeps blowing their whistles. So this guy keeps running a little bit, but everybody stayed on their whistles. So just a reminder. So we in plays like that, coaches, players, we're not even going to ask you. We're just going to do what common sense is the best option. If at any time, certainly you could change that. If you wanted to let them retry the kick, you could. And all you'd have to do is let your official on the sideline know, no, wait a minute, we want to do this. And we would change the decision. So anyway, here's our last play of the week. This is just a touchdown pass. Good overall mechanics and judgment on a pass in the end zone here. Perfect position. Takes his time, lets him get through the process of the catch, and then goes up. The only thing I would add, maybe, and this is just a tiny piece, you don't have to stay on that goal line. If the ball takes you off of it towards the back of the end zone, it's okay to slide down that sideline a little bit if you need to get 2 or 3 or 4 yards closer. But very good positioning, good patience, and making sure that he finished the process of the catch. So one more time. Catch, feet down, has the ball, touchdown. Excellent job. Okay, again, 2 weeks left. Playoff implications. I appreciate everybody's hard work, focus, and your commitment to helping out this summer. And I know everybody is working hard to get better, and I appreciate everybody. Good luck to everybody working this game, and have a great this weekend, and have a great game, everybody.